how to answer an exam standard question in 10 easy steps. Step 10, we have got there in the end. If you remember, there was a requirement at the end, part C, that discussed IRR. And the worst thing you can do with the exam is to spend so much time on A and B that you don't do yourself justice in the discursive parts at the end. Remember what I said? I said that we had to allocate our time wisely. I think we said 20 minutes for part A, 10 minutes for part B. We've got 15 minutes to write part C. Now, I'm not going to give you the best answer ever in terms of answering this question. I'm simply going to say, look, we've got to come up with a solid, worked answer that is going to score some marks. So here's the requirement again. Discuss the strengths and weaknesses of internal rate of return in appraising capital investments. Well, okay, if you remember, discuss was the verb. That suggests we have to go for a range of different points, and typically we would be looking at pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. Here we have strengths and weaknesses. So we immediately know both sides. We've got two things to talk about. Yeah? Some strengths, some weaknesses. Oh, strengths with an S, weaknesses with an S. That means we can number them off. Strengths, 1, 2, 3, weaknesses, 1, 2, 3, or however many we get. The subject is the internal rate of return in appraising capital investments. Well, of course, we could use the internal rate of return computation elsewhere, but a common area of use is in investment appraisal. So typically, we are criticising, or at least looking at the relative merits of internal rate of return, which I'm hoping shouldn't be too difficult. So here's my answer plan. Each point a 2-mark answer, 2 strengths and 2 weaknesses. Now here are my discursive answer rules. Very simple. I just don't want to upset the examiner. So firstly, I adopt the rule of 1 sentence equals 1 mark. May not be true. If you write rubbish, it's going to score nothing. If you write fantastic sentences, you could score more. But I'm simply suggesting that a sentence will have a fact in it, and if that fact is appropriate to the question, we should score something. Secondly, a header for everything. I want the examiner to know what you're talking about before he reads the nonsense that you've written. Thirdly, write more. I'll tell you, I set my students many writing challenges during their courses. And the one thing that they do is they put the pen down invariably way before the time is up. Just write and write and write. Write until your hand falls off and maybe use your other hand. Okay? And if possible, number off. I said before, strengths. Yes? S on the end. That means, yeah, we can say there's 1 strength, 2 strengths, 3 strengths. So we're trying to educate the examiner as to how many facts or bits of knowledge that we're trying to give him. So here's a suggested answer. As I said before, it's certainly not a masterpiece, but it's a working answer. Strengths. 1, time value. IRR is based on DCF principles. This means that it considers the opportunity cost of capital implicit in time value of money. Well, okay. I've suggested 2 marks here. Maybe yes, maybe no. Okay. 2. It's a relative measure. The IRR gives the answer in terms of a percentage, which is easily comparable with the cost of capital. A percentage is easier for non-financial managers to interpret. Okay, maybe 2 marks. We don't know. But if you saw something like that as a marker, I think we can all appreciate that we're going to give it a tick and we're going to make sure, well, it's going to get something, isn't it? Okay? I can't guarantee you 100%. I'm just giving you a suggestion. Weaknesses. Oh, another header. Notice. Absolute value. The IRR does not give an absolute value of the wealth gained to shareholders. This value would be calculated using the MPV method. You see, what we're saying is that relative measure may be good in some ways and not so good in others. Fine. And multiple IRRs. A project with unconventional cash flows would give rise to multiple IRRs. Yes, it looks a bit like the Loch Ness Monster if you think about it. In this situation, it is difficult to use IRR for decision-making purposes. Now, you will probably be well aware of many other strengths and weaknesses. And you could say, well, why don't you write down as much as you possibly can? That's fine. But the thing is, you had 15 minutes And I'm saying to the examiner here is that I've got a solid 4-point answer that has been developed as much as I can. I reckon that, yeah, we're going to score okay. Maybe not 7, yeah? But we're going to get way over half marks. If I get 5 or 6, would I be happy? Crikey, I'd be very happy. Presentation is critical to the exam. Don't just think about it in terms of the presentation of your pro formas and your computations. Also think about presentation in terms of the written parts. So those are the 10 steps. We have answered an exam standard question, and strangely enough, I've done rather well. That is how to answer an exam standard question in 10 easy steps. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you found this useful, and the very best of luck in your exam. Bye.